Hello, people, and we got some bombshell news for you today. Courtesy of our friend George from Cryptos R Us, we have this statistic. Coinbase sold $7.7 billion of BTC OTC today. Yes, that's right. You can see they sold about 5.2 right before New Year's Day, and all the others were much less in October and November. So you can see Coinbase OTC day, address transfer volume USD, address transfer volume. So they sold 168.7K Bitcoin BTC today, $7.7 billion, and you can see that's like the day after ETFs are approved. You know what that means? Yes, that's right. The Black Rocks are buying up their OTC. How much OTC do you think they actually have? Probably not that much. They're eventually going to run out. I bet they'll be buying more and more and more as the days go on, and I think Coinbase is going to run short very, very soon. So right now, the BlackRocks and the ARK Invest 21 shares and Invesco and all those guys are like, come on, Coinbase, give me some of your sweet, sweet OTC, BTC so I don't have to buy the price up. And Coinbase is like, yes, masters, you can have our OTC, BTC. Because they're actually selling OTC on Coinbase. But after a while, BlackRock's like, hey, give me some special deals, got that sweet BTC, give it all to us. And then Coinbase is going to be like, bitch, I'm out. And when that actually happens, they're going to have to buy stuff up from the exchanges. And I don't think there's anything to actually stop it. I mean, $7.7 billion in a single day is a very big buy. The only other one that's even close is late December. I think around Christmas, New Year time when they're getting ready for the ETF. Because I bet they knew weeks ahead that it was going to get, it was actually going to get accepted. So they were buying a little bit in secret. This 5.2 billion, 2.4 billion here, right before the ETF gets approved. And you can see they didn't really buy anything else until early December, more or less, or late November. And they were relatively smaller buys compared to these giant buys they actually have here near the Bitcoin ETF approval. So I do think they will eventually run out. And when they actually run out, oh man, how are they going to buy it then? How are they going to buy it then? They might just have to buy it from the exchanges. Now, some of you they're gonna go P2P. P2P for who? Who the hell has besides Satoshi Nakamoto, has hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin for them to buy. Maybe the US government off Silk Road, maybe that's part of their plan, but even that can't sustain them forever if there's demand. This is just one day. Now, the first day, obviously, there's going to be more inflow than the other days, but still, $7.7 billion in one day, that's going to dry up OTC fairly quickly, my friends. Very, very quickly. And that's going to result in a price pump for us. How are you going to get a big dump when they're buying billions of dollars like that OTC? And now since the ETF's approved, I think they're going to be buying a lot more. And it's just not just BlackRock, but it's Invesco, Grayscale, and all these others because they have to have those reserves. I think Grayscale might be the only one that doesn't really need to buy. And that's obviously because they have BTC from their fund earlier on. But everyone else who wants to play catch up must buy. There is no choice. And eventually, I think they're going to have to buy the price up. So this is just some really, really good news for you, courtesy of Cryptos R Us. And Coinbase eventually is going to be like, sorry guys, we are out. You're going to have to buy on the exchange and buy that price up. And then we will profit. Yes. In other news, the SEC is not done with Ripple. They're not done harassing them. And they want to compel Ripple to produce financial statements. Some of you are like, but isn't XRP already not a security? Yes, it's not a security when programmatically sold. But institutionally sold, it is still a security. And they want Ripple financial documents, very detailed financial documents ranging from 2022 to 2023 to see where they sold to institutions. Because remember, Ripple does sell something like $100 million or more every month to actually fund their business. And they want to know and they want to know how much of that is for institutions and how many fines Ripple has to pay. Because the SEC is mad at Ripple, mad that they got pwned in the lawsuit, and they want to fine Ripple for every penny they've got. They also want a strong case to set a precedent for other coins they might want to sue later. And the thing is, like, I think they're in knowledge that they actually might lose the Coinbase case, because they did say like the judge should consider Terra Luna, but they actually might consider the Ripple case as well. And since they can't get that overturned, they might lose the secondary markets, but the primary markets, they want to get every last penny they can, because make no mistake, they spent a lot of money on these lawyers to sue these companies. So if they can get a huge payday from Ripple, they can get big paydays from a lot of other companies, as long as the companies ICO'd or sold to primary institutions in the United States. And I bet many of them did. So basically, Ripple filed a motion on January 11th today, requesting an additional 2 days, January 19th instead of January 17th, for the appeal. If you actually look at the SEC's letter, it says, "Dear Judge Netburn, the SEC respectfully," yeah, right, requests an order compelling Ripple Labs to produce 2 narrow categories of documents: its financial statement for the years of 2022 to 2023 and its post-complaint contracts governing institutional sales, the same types of transactions which Judge Torres held to constitute for the pre-compliant period unregistered offers and sales of securities. Repeatedly, the SEC seeks to compel Ripple to answer a single interrogatory setting forth the amount of XRP institutional sales proceeds that it received after the filing of the compliant for contracts entered into pre-compliant. The SEC requests this limited and targeted discovery to aid Judge Torres in determining whether, having found Ripple liable for violating Section 5 of the Securities Act of 1933, the court should impose relief such as injunctions and civil penalties, and as to the latter, in what amount. In opposing such remedies, courts regularly consider a defendant's conduct since the violations occurred to determine the likelihood of repetition for injunctions and the amount of pecuniary gain and the need for deterrence for penalties. This information is particularly central to the injunctive relief inquiry here, because Ripple appears to argue it should not be enjoined on basis that its future sales of XRP are or will be exempt from registration for reach of federal securities laws. Ripple's actions between the filing of the complaint and the present, specifically, it's, like blah, 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 whatever. Either ways, they want all the financial documents so they can get as much as possible. So Ripple obviously is going to reply, and they're going to try to fight this, and they're probably going to come out to some kind of compromise. Obviously, like I said, this affects way more than Ripple, because the SEC is trying to establish precedent and they want to get as much as possible. They know they're probably not going to win most of the secondary cases. I don't even know if they really won the Terra Luna one. Like, Terra Luna is a security, if the stuff that Terra sold out, but I'm not really sure on secondary exchanges. I'm sure they're getting delisted, but other coins are going to have a much harder time fighting, because their founders aren't really running away from the police, like Richard Hart and Do Kwon. And B, some like Cardano, they just didn't even ICO in the United States. They're trading on exchanges. And Coinbase is very, very much lawyered up against the SEC, and they're very well funded in their quest against the SEC. And plus, they do have public support from the crypto industry, and even the Chamber of Commerce is supporting the crypto world. So realistically, they're really gonna be hard pressed. So that's what we actually have for today with the SEC versus Ripple. And they're just trying to harass them for as much money as possible. Hopefully they don't. If they fail, I think it's over for the SEC. If they succeed, a lot of companies, including Ripple, might be looking for harsh penalties, including for future sales. So there might be some trouble at the Near Foundation. It's laid off 40% of its workforce despite rosy financials. I guess they want to turn up that profit, or they don't have any profits. And the firm says the cuts are necessary to consolidate the team and focus on a narrower and higher impact set of activities. Usually it's just some kind of excuse like that. They can't really afford to pay all the staff, so they have to let some of them go. Crypto's actually been good this year, but obviously we're not at peak bull run time, so maybe they don't have the money to actually keep paying all the staff. There's always going to be some firings towards the beginning or end of years just to tidy things up, but 40% of its staff is a lot, and there could actually be some trouble based on those numbers. So they let go of 35 near employees in the marketing. So they probably had about 100 employees in all. Business development and community teams came after feedback the foundation has not always been as effective as it should be, sometimes moving too slowly and trying to do many things at once. So they consolidate doing fewer things at once. But of course, such a big letting go of employees right as the market's turning up could be some cause for concern. So I wouldn't blame people if they were concerned. But despite its layoffs, it appears that the Near Foundation's financials have been robust. Currently, its treasury amounts to over 285 million in fiat currencies, 305 million Near tokens worth over $1 billion, and 70 million in investments and loans, and they say they are well placed. But maybe a small word of warning because they did let go of much of their staff. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think, like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.